Welcome to this week's Future Toolbox podcast. We explore the Z to A of life skills, where each letter stands for a topic and essential tool to help you get ahead in life. Meet Jules and Mark, creators of the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox, and enjoy their straightforward approach to creating growth mindsets that help people turn their dreams into realities. Whether you're a teen in education, a parent, a teacher, or part of a community group, start creating positive habits from today.
Welcome to our latest Z to A podcast with me, Jules and Mark from the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox.
Hello everybody and welcome back.
This is where we pick a letter and then choose a topic to discuss how you can use our tools or tips to improve your own personal development and life. Now, this episode's letter is...
The letter this week is B, which stands for building your brand. And this is one of our much talked about topics in our Focus on Your Future workshops when we've been working with teens and young adults over the years. And also our background in apprenticeships whilst working for a company called Starting Off many years ago. So we have a lot of knowledge and experience on this particular topic. Plenty to talk about,
but building your brand isn't something that you just do when you have finished your exams and you're looking to go to college or university or get a job. You may be already in a job but looking to change career or go and get another job or even start your own business or anything like that. So building your brand is really, really important.
Yeah, it's something that we probably never actually stop doing because we're always adding to our brand as well. So let's start off with a really simple question. What is a brand? Well, a brand is a recognisable name, logo, or a style for a product or a service. For example, if you see a great big golden yellow arch known as the Golden Arches, we all think of a particular company, don't we?
We do.
And that is McDonald's. Or if you see a big red letter K, you may think of Kellogg's, the breakfast food brand. So those are instantly recognisable brands that stick in our minds. We've probably heard that advertising slogans said many times over the years and seen their logos plastered all over things. But staying on a smaller level, we have our logo, which is our lovable, wonderful Milo. And the Future Toolbox, one of our straplines is making revision and study easy and fun for teenagers. So there's little things like that where it hooks people in, it gets people to notice.
Yeah, and the amount of people say to us things like, oh yeah, Milo. We often use that to start our social media off, Milo says. Even our grandchildren, they say, oh, that little purple Milo, we know him, we see him on YouTube.
He's got his own TV channel. So it's really fabulous and it's such fun what you can build around the brand.
So talking about slogans, I'm going to test you.
Oh, I like tests. Is it a quiz?
It's kind of like a quiz.
Yeah.
So, for example, this one, there are some things that money can't buy. For everything else, there's...
Oh, that's the MasterCard, isn't it?
Yay, congratulations. Now, the other thing just springs to mind very, very quickly. What gives you wings?
Oh, Red Bull, of course. Allegedly.
So can you remember this one? I'm really going back a little bit.
Oh.
What is soft, strong, and very, very long?
That's that toilet roll, isn't it? With a little dog on it. A really cute dog, Andrex.
Yeah, that just come into my head.
But again, that's another part of the brand, the really, really cute little puppy. Because you love the puppy, so you're obviously going to buy that toilet roll because you think it's soft, strong and very long like
Very,
the puppy.
very long,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's a great brand, that is.
Okay, so we'll have one last one. If somebody says to you, how do you eat yours?
Oh, you're asking me a chocolate one and expecting me not to get that. That's Cadbury's cream egg. I love Cadbury's cream eggs.
There you go. So that's the point. Slogans, logos, all sorts of things like that is all about building your brand. So people will see things and instantly think, oh yeah, that's Milo, that's the Future Toolbox.
Yeah, and you're saying about brands as well. You mentioned the Andrex one and the little puppy, and you've got to think that that's actually been an advertising campaign that's been going on for so many years now. I mean, that puppy must be about 400 years old.
It's not a puppy anymore.
It's not a puppy anymore. But the whole point is that you have that instant association. Now, we're talking here about people that are living in the regular world that don't have multi-million pound advertising budgets and marketing teams behind them. We're talking about you as a person and actually building your own brand to get yourself a job, get promoted, go to university or whatever it may be. So let's have a little talk about how we do that. How do you brand yourself?
Yeah, so how do you get yourself to stand out from the crowd, really, and the competition? and let people know who you are and what you stand for. And I think if we go back to a product, for example, you are your product. You will need to look at your packaging. What do you look like? How do you present yourself to the world?
Yeah, so we used to do a little exercise in Focus on Your Future where we looked at some cornflakes and we used to put a box of cornflakes next to an unbranded packet. And the box was the Kellogg's cornflakes with the little cockerel on the front. And it's very pretty. It looks really, really nice. And we said, imagine that you were going to spend £2 on some cornflakes and there's a one in the nice Kellogg's box and the one just in a clear plastic bag, which is just tied up at the top. Which one do you spend the money on? And a lot of people generally would have gone for the Kellogg's one. We always got one that would go for the other just to be funny, I think, and be a comedian. And they stood out from the crowd, didn't they? Because they were the one that didn't. But the whole point there is, how do you package yourself? And we would link that to the actual first impression that you could create. One of the ways you can create a great impression is by the way you dress, by the way you present yourself, by the way you style your hair, or if you're like me and have a beard, how you style your beard or whatever. It's about putting yourself out there and packaging yourself.
And that also goes for how you package yourself on your social media as well. And I think that's becoming as important as possibly the CV, because that's what generally people will read if you're trying to apply for a job or something. You would have everything on there. But nowadays, people use social media, particularly LinkedIn, to have a look at what you do and how you present yourself on there. So that's another thing to think about in terms of your first impression. Don't be having a picture on there of you doing something totally unrelated to anything business-wise. So, for example, we saw one where somebody had a hat with the cans of beer either side. And that was his LinkedIn profile picture. Not a great first impression.
No, it looked like he was on a stag do, didn't it, or something like that. Which is great, because if you're a great fun person, everybody enjoys a good party or whatever, but that's probably not what you want in the business world, is it? Yeah, the visual world is massive these days because we have so much digital technology in the palm of our hand that people are just going to instantly make a judgment on what you look like based on maybe your profile picture. So we're saying the guy in the stag night, that's not too good for promoting yourself in the business world. But what you need to do is just to think about, what could somebody judge me on? So we wrote a book called Don't Get Your Neck Tattooed. We have absolutely nothing against tattoos. In fact, we both have tattoos ourselves, but people will judge you on things like that. And the whole story came up about one of my students that had a massive, horrendous tattoo on his neck, and it put a lot of people off whilst he was going for interviews. It's about making life choices and the way that you present yourself. I once got a girl a job in a local law firm, and the first thing that she did on the Friday afternoon to celebrate getting her job was she got a tongue pierced.
Ow.
Ouch, yeah, ouch indeed.
That's the only thing I ever think when anybody mentions tongue piercing. I just think, ouch.
I'm going to totally agree. It's not for me either. But this tongue piercing, it was well hidden. But the first thing that she did when she went into work, the partners looked at her and thought, oh, we don't like that. Because her tongue had swollen up because of the tongue piercing, by the end of the week, they let her go because she was really struggling to talk on the phone. Now, a lot of people might say, well, the swelling would go down and she'd be able to talk in a couple of weeks. But that was the impression she was given. One more that I can really focus on, and this is how such a small thing can make a big difference. And this is stepping away a little bit from the actual profile picture. This was a guy that went for an interview dressed immaculately in a suit. He looked the part, he talked the part, he was a really, really great communicator. But when he went to the interview, he was chewing gum. And he got invited back for a second interview, but the guy that interviewed him was very, very open-minded, but he just said, I don't like the fact he was chewing gum. He actually went for 3 interviews and met the managing partner of the company, and the managing partner was put off by the fact that he was chewing gum in the very first interview. Now, to me, I would think, I could really see past that because he was a little bit nervous maybe, he chewed some chewing gum or whatever. That's not going to define him as a person, but he didn't get the job because of that. So really, really small things make big differences, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And going back to your media profiles, a really good thing to do is get somebody to proofread and spell check what you've written, because there's nothing worse. There's been a lot of spelling mistakes in there, and you've got a great example of how this put us off somebody just recently.
Yeah, the grammar police are always out there, and I was one last week. I actually got a connection on LinkedIn, on the social media profile LinkedIn, and it was from a lady who was promoting herself as a book marketing agency. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I get hundreds of book marketing agencies, and so do you, because we're authors. People just contact us and they want to sell our books. This person had introduced themselves, and in the opening paragraph, there was 3 spelling and grammatical errors. They'd spelt their name with a lowercase letter. They'd missed a full stop out, and also they put a capital I in the middle of a word. It was just really, really terrible. Now, I'm an author. This person wants to promote my book. Do I want somebody who's going to make 3 grammatical errors in about 2 lines of text? Really, come on. Now, that is a real extreme, because we're all going to make silly mistakes. We've made mistakes in our own work. You might even get in touch with us and say, look, Mark and Jules, I found a spelling error on your website or whatever. If you do, please let us know, because we don't have the multi-million-pound advertising budgets that some of these companies do. But it is human nature. But if you can get it checked and checked and checked again, that's going to really, really help you.
And also, again, looking at your social media, because this really is something that is very big now. When you will apply for perhaps a job, or if you're trying to start your own company, people will be looking on social media to see what you're about. So it's really key to make sure that that's good, it's clean, because that is going to be people's first impression of you. Now, did you know that people will make a decision on you in the first few seconds? So that first impression is so, so, so important. And if there's the slightest little thing that think, oh, I don't like that, or as we were just saying on the social media, if there's spelling mistakes, or you've got some pictures on there of you that are not really suitable, then that impression's gone. By doing that, you've given yourself a massive hurdle to overcome, because people will look at your social media and think, no, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a very judgmental world, and it is probably ingrained into our own DNA that we have to judge somebody quite quickly. Now, of course, we've all been in the position before where we've judged somebody and thought, oh, I don't like that person, and thought, actually, they're really nice. Yeah. That does go the other way sometimes as well, doesn't it? Where you meet somebody and think they're really nice and they're not so. But that first impression is so important.
I mean, we had to do this when we set up the Future Toolbox. And this was way before we had the Instagram and all the rest of it. But we were very, very mindful at that moment that we need to make sure that anything that we post on social media is not offensive. It's not going to annoy anybody, because it's now our brand out there. We are selling ourselves out there, and we don't want anything on social media that's going to put somebody off using our services.
Yeah, and it's very true, because we meet a lot of people who we meet outside of business, and they go, I love the stuff you put on your social media profiles in your business, which is amazing, because people are actually looking at our profile, not for business, but just because they know us, and they say, well, we love the stuff you put out there. And probably one of the best examples of that that's just sprung into my mind is Study Hire, an organisation in Swindon that we worked with for many, many years, actually found us by finding our profile on Instagram. And they said, you guys just seem 2 genuine people, and we really, really liked you because everything you put on there was positive. Now flip that around. Imagine that you moaned about absolutely everything on social media, and then you're going for a job and somebody's going to employ you to work in a company with, say, customers or whatever. Would they want the person that's constantly moaning and complaining about absolutely everything? Or take out the word complaining and moaning, saying being controversial, being somebody who's quite offensive, somebody who has a go at people? Is that the person that you want to become? And that's what you need to think about. What is your brand? What person do you want to become? Now let's go right back to the start again. We talked about the products like Kellogg's, and we talked about all them fancy advertising slogans. Now, one thing that's always amazing is, why do people sometimes buy from one company and not another? So, for example, why do people shop at Tesco's instead of Morrison's? And a lot of that comes down to personal choice and how you're hooked into that. So building your brand is about making you unique.
Yeah.
Now, in the forms of advertising, a lot of products are sold to us through the features and the benefits. So the feature's what it does, and the benefit is what you get from it.
Yeah, so think about, what is your unique selling point? What is it that you are really good at, or something that you can offer people? Is it your reliability? Is it the great attitude that you've got? I know you can do that by writing that in your CV, but again, on your LinkedIn profile or any social media, you can be showing people all of these wonderful things that you're good at. It could be you're enterprising, you've got really good initiative. Confidence, that's a good one, isn't it? You can be showing that.
I'm going to go back to my days of working as a recruitment consultant in youth recruitment. Now, one thing that was quite consistent with working with teenagers that are coming straight from school was that they didn't have loads and loads of experience to offer. So a lot of the decisions were based on the actual person and not the qualification or the particular experience, as I say, because they didn't have it. Let's take 4 teenagers that would come from school that all had a range of similar GCSE qualifications. How would you make a decision based on that person? And as you just listed off there were so many things that people would be able to put in there from their life skills list. So let's say, for example, all the students had a grade in maths and English. You can't distinguish between those people. Even if the grade was slightly higher or slightly lower or whatever, you're not going to say, well, I'm not employing you because your grade is 1 grade lower. But somebody might have said, well, okay, look, I got a grade whatever in maths. Therefore, my feature is I can do basic maths, but my benefit is I was really, really determined to get that qualification. I struggled with certain bits of maths, so I went to my maths teacher and I spent extra time working with that maths teacher, which helped me to get that grade by applying myself extra to that qualification. Now all of a sudden what you're showing is you didn't just get the grade, you have extra application, you have extra commitment, you have extra desire, you have extra drive. And you have all those things with a good attitude to push yourself forward. So it's not about getting the grade is the feature. The benefit is what you did and how you followed that path there. And we always would see some amazing examples of how people manage to push their brand forward by just doing something as simple as that.
So that's how you brand yourself. You're the product. You need to explain what the features are about you, your company, what it is that you're trying to portray to the world, and what benefits that you have.
Yeah, I like that. If you would like to find out more about branding, then you can head over to this wonderful website with lots of colours and a really nice character on called Milo. The website address is futuretoolbox.co.uk. If you head over to your relevant toolbox on there, you can find loads of tools and tips. We're also on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And we also have a YouTube channel, which is full of free tools and tips. You can subscribe to our bi-monthly newsletter as well. And finally, you can find us on LinkedIn because we are
everywhere.
We are indeed. So we look forward to catching you in the next episode of the Z2A podcast. Have a really, really wonderful week and see you soon.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for the Z2A of Life Skills with Jules and Mark of the Future Toolbox. Don't forget to head over to their website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk, where you can find lots of free resources, plus a host of books in the store, as well as subscribing to the membership site. Follow Future Toolbox Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Future Toolbox, and subscribe to their YouTube channel too.